if you don't take charge of your own career, then somebody will play with it. I was more into the buying than the selling. There was a complete shift in the mindset that had to happen during this entire journey of my coaching business per se. And the shift happened for a very, very profound advices from my mentor. And he said that, when the ticket price goes up, the seriousness also goes up. Level of actions also goes to the next level. People always see from the other side of it saying that, okay, the price is very high. There is nothing called high and low in the prices. It is always about if you're an aspiring coach who wants to set up a business based on the dreams of financial freedom, then you are already in the wrong profession. Most of the coaches generally jump into the coaching business with their heart into it. They want to probably help people in a certain niche. Obviously, in the process, they'll make the money as well. Now, when it comes to the selling,
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Killer Sales Engine podcast. My name is Aum Janakiram, and today I'm very excited to talk to you about this guest who I have here, Mr. Rakesh Rana. He is someone who I've been following for a very, very long time and I have a lot of admiration for. And I'm excited to have him as a guest on this show. And I'm sure you guys are going to be getting a lot of value from this as well. So let's welcome Mr. Rakesh Rana. Welcome to the Killer Sales Engine podcast with Aum Janakiram. Hi Rakesh, how are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you very much, Om, for having me here in this Killer Sales podcast.
Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know that you're a busy man, so let's jump straight into it. So Rakesh, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about your story? What really motivated you to get into coaching and helping and serving?
Sure. Thank you for asking this. My story started with my journey from humble middle class to getting into the corporate world. When I started my journey, I was kind of a lost guy, having no understanding about what the corporate world is all about. Over a period of 18 long years, I think I was just trying to figure out how do somebody reach to the top of the ladder. And I also realized that there are broken steps in between, especially for the mid-level professionals, which I was facing as my challenge in my life, in my career as well. And that's what triggered all the elements of my journey as well in the entrepreneurship over the last 6 years. And what I also found out is when I was laid off, that was the lowest point in my career in 2018. I had a choice. I had a choice to join the corporate world and probably continue to pursue that career, also called career highs. And I can actually had to probably make a decision that can I probably change that and help other people who do not become the Rakesh Rana again. So that was the idea behind starting this mid-career coaching movement back in 2018, when the mid-career term per se was not so clear about in the market in India, especially. Mid-career is more popular in western side of it, but India people do not understand. They understand the middle management per se. So that's how we started this journey actually.
Fantastic. I mean, you had gone from getting fired and then moving into this coaching business, knowing that you don't want anyone else to go through what Rakesh Rana has gone through. And that's a very noble cause. You told me that you got fired and all those things happened, or you got laid off. But what was it really in your mind that just said, I want to do this?
So one of the things which I realized after 18 years, in the 17 years of experience, I got laid off. So when a corporate employee get laid off, they lose their identity. That's a one setback that they get, because most of us in the corporate world actually uh, attach our identity to the corporate job or a title that we have in the companies, right? That was the first realization that I lost my identity. Now, when I lose the identity, I also wanted to understand that my family has a need of paying the debt. I was carrying a debt of around 70 lakh rupees at that point of time when I got laid off. Obviously, I had six people to feed, including my two young children as well. And 70 lakh rupees I was paying in EMI. My monthly expense was very high, and there is no income suddenly. So you lose the control, honestly speaking. But then I realized something clicked inside me and asking me the very simple questions. How long will you actually allow somebody to play with your life and career? That was the question which was haunting me a lot. More than a purpose, I realized that I do not want anybody to probably define my career. Let me define my career myself. That is the number one thing which I realized. The number two is I also realized that the mid career is a tricky phase of the career where the people actually have already got into the lot of experience, knowledge, skill, and talent, but they're not able to leverage or harvest this experience, and they get stuck into the very cool word that we already know, which is called the comfort zone. And once they get into there, it becomes really difficult to probably change that mindset that there is something more than what you're doing is needed. And that's what triggered me, that if I have to probably bring some changes in the system, if I have to fix the broken corporate ladder for the mid-career professionals, then somebody needs to take this torch. I was ready to take that regardless of what happens with my career. And obviously the first need was to get a good job to settle my family, and I was determined by then that over a period of time I would be leaving that job and doing what I love to do. That is what actually was the turning point.
Wow. Leave the job and do what you really love to do. So, I mean, being in corporate and then being able to move into coaching, it's not many people's, cup of tea. But there are certain people who know and are certain, very sure that this is what they want to do, even during their career. So, did you already have this thought that one day I might just become a coach because in your current environment, this is like what you're doing? Or was it something after that you had to kind of learn and figure out along the way? So tell me about how was the transition?
That's fantastic question. So nobody in the dream they think about what they want to become. Honestly speaking, except for the corporate ladder, which they already know from manager to senior manager to GM and the VP and the so on and so forth. That's a set hierarchy. Okay. When it comes to the entrepreneurship, you always start with an experiment. In my case of experiment, what I was really clear about, I do not want another Rakesh to suffer. That was the first statement that I spoke about. The second statement, when I was searching my own niche where I can probably make a difference, I was just trying to understand my backstory, how it has actually planned out in my life. And I was just trying to connect my dots as well. Coaching, I was doing unknowingly since last 15 years before my journey started, and it is in the form of maybe my siblings to start with, then my friends who were there in the schools, then my college friends, and so on and so forth. And it was coming to me naturally in the corporate world as well. That's how people were sticking to me as a team as well. And that was a realization for me by connecting the dot backwards. And when I connected this dot backward, I had only two questions. My background is something different. I've never done the coaching in my life. How do I probably jump into something? That's where the corporate experience comes handy. So if you had to probably close your eyes and probably ask, okay, what would you do? What is your biggest strength that you have actually learned? I could have said that what I did in the 18 years of my corporate life, that was procurement, I could probably do something like that. But the answer came different. And the answer came that how can you probably uplift somebody who need not go through the struggle that you may have gone through? Or how can you probably show them the path which is now called the unconventional path, then they just click on the apply button and apply for the next role, especially in the mid career, which doesn't work anymore. So that was the scene when I chose this niche per se. And fortunately for me, I was never in the I never fall in a trap of a shiny object, because there were a lot of opportunities of shiny object that came along. And I stuck to my niche, because I realized that one of the biggest factor that I realize in my journey is relatability of a person makes a lot of difference. That's what I'm doing right now.
Wow, fantastic. Being able to relate to the people that you want to help from your personal experience. And also, what I'm understanding is that, this is not something that, even though you never thought that you might be a coach, it's something that you've been doing pretty much for the last 15 years. And that's what made it come naturally to you. And that's what made it a clear idea that this is the niche I want to focus on. And this is the clarity that I have.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing. So, in terms of actually getting into the coaching business, a lot of people come in with that thought that it's just teaching. And over time, they realize, oh my God, it's marketing, it's sales, it's operations, it's you name it, it's there. And tell me, like, how did you get over that initial inertia that must have been there and be able to break into being the successful coach you are today?
So unless you're born in the business family, you have no clue about the business. Most of the corporate leaders who are in the market today, they run the business of the corporate world, but they do not know how to run their own business. Now, for me also, it proved to be right for me as well. As a corporate leader, I was just saying that, okay, let me probably help somebody. That was the initial statement which we started off. Now, helping somebody doesn't mean that you will be able to create a business out of it. Helping somebody could be also the let the people come and probably take the free advices. And that's what I did for the first 6 months, 200 free advices to the one-to-one calls. And one of the things which came to my rescue, I would say, is the blessings of my mentors. So I've been probably a decision maker in that sense, where my chips were down when I was at the lowest point of my life. I chose to be under the mentorship of somebody who can actually make me understand more about the business, also help me understand more about me as well. So that revelation during the 6 months of 6 months to 1 year of hand holding with the mentors, that really helped. If somebody is just starting out on their own, I think they would be more focusing on how good they can be as a coach rather than how good they can be as a coaching business. Now, these two require a different level of skill sets. You could be a very great coach, but you may not be the very good at the coaching business. Now, I had to learn both the ways, because coaching also I had to learn, as well as the coaching business also I had to learn. So I was learning both the parts. Obviously, there were ups and downs. There were a lot of experiments with myself that I did. But eventually, because it was my natural ability to probably learn and convert the complexity into the simple frameworks, that has helped me towards that coaching aspect of it. Whereas from the business side of it, I got a lot of help from the various mentors that I've been blessed with.
Amazing, amazing. So it is not just about, going out there and starting to teach, but also getting guidance, getting a way that you can get a blueprint and move there faster than if you were to do it yourself. And you chose to find a mentor to be a mentor. So the mentor of mentors, in order to figure out the coaching business as such, or any business for that matter, business mentor or a sales mentor or a finance mentor. Mentors are what going to help you get there much faster, so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that others have made, right? That's exactly your mission, from what I understand. You don't want others to make the same mistakes that you've made.
Absolutely. Because, see, one thing which we all need to understand, something which you want to figure out for yourself. If somebody has already figured out, then it's a stupidity to figure out again. And that's what I've been telling to my mentees and also to the audience as well, who are probably watching me live or otherwise, that there is no need to probably create or reinvent something which has been already done. If you are always trying to probably become an intelligent, why you're ignoring your growth so far? That's a question. And
Amazing.
that's where the entire cup of tea is for coaching, for that matter, any business.
Superb, superb. So I ask this question a lot, Rakesh, because it's all related to sales, right? At the end of the day, a lot of people who come from corporate or come from a background where they're in the operational role, doing sales is not their cup of tea. And it makes a lot of people uncomfortable unless they're coming from a sales background. But even if they are coming from a sales background, the way that you sell in the coaching business or the way that you are helping people in the coaching business is very, very different. So tell me about, what has been the major shift in being an educator as well as a salesperson, and how have you struck the balance?
You will be probably shocked to understand that my entire career has been on the other side of the sales. I'm a procurement guy for 18 years. I used to probably bring the people into buying. I was more into the buying than the selling. There was a complete shift in the mindset that had to happen during this entire journey of my coaching business per se. And the shift happened for a very, very profound advices from my mentor. And he said that if you want to uplift somebody, you need to make them understand what is good for them. And that means also make them understand why you want to serve them. And if you want to make them, help them or serve them, then you need to sell. There is no alternative to serving than selling. Because if they cannot be served with what you have and uplift them, then you are not doing the right job. Then it is keeping with yourself. So selling is something which became more spiritual and serving aspect of me during this entire process. Yes, corporate leaders have a different mindset about the selling. They probably equate the coaches with respect to their call center card guys who was calling them and say, hey, do you want a lifetime extra card without any fees? But that's not what the coaches are actually doing in the market, or for that matter, a business owner is doing that. So if people are very allergic to scale sales, I would definitely guarantee that they are very poor buyers as well. That means they will not be able to sell themselves in the market. That's the reality. So that's where the shift came in.
Amazing. So you have to be able to be a good buyer to be a good seller. That's one point. And also, like, if you're not able to sell yourself, how will you sell to others, right? That is another point that you raised very well.
Yes.
So in your coaching business, right, when you are selling to others, you're selling to corporate people, right? And obviously people are like, we want free, free, free. You've been doing free. Why are you charging us? So why exactly do you feel, coaches sometimes sell themselves too short and continue to just do for free, for free, for free, and then eventually maybe burn out or maybe give up? Why do you think that it's important to transition to actually begin to sell and then sell more and more and more at a higher and higher price as you go along?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking this question, because it is very relevant and very insightful in a sense to understand how business works versus how delivery works. Most of the coaches generally jump into the coaching business with their heart into it. That means they want to serve in a certain niche. They want to probably help people in a certain niche. Obviously, in the process, they'll make the money as well. Now, when it comes to the selling, there is an inherent resistance that we have all born with, which is first is a change, second is an uncertainty, and the third is what will people say. Now, this all three things will probably overwhelm you when you are selling, unless you probably shift your mindset from selling to serving aspect of it. That's number one. Number two is when it comes to the coaching business, or for that consulting business or any service business per se, you need to understand, instead of feature, how your product or services can help other understand how they can be helped. That would be the bottom line of selling. Because if you are just selling features, nobody is interested. But if you're selling the success, I'm sure there would be many buyers. So all the coaches who start with a very good intention in the heart, they also need to apply the strategies as well. And it is easy to become a coach nowadays because a lot of information is available in everywhere. There are a lot of people who are probably offering them to probably become a coach in 30 days and so on and so forth. In my opinion, if somebody needs to really set up a business and continue in the coaching business, they'll need a much more resilience than what just a starting point. Starting point, anybody can do. Finishers are very less. So I believe in finishing more than the starting, because starting is a impulsive part. Sometimes you just start because you don't like a boss. Now that's not the right starting point for people.
That's right. So you have to begin the start the process, practice, learn that it's not about features and benefits. It's about serving. It's about helping the others, and knowing that you are doing them a service by helping them with material which they probably can't find on YouTube or any other platform which you have bringing to the table. And of
Yes.
course, your time is also something that's very valuable, right?
And another aspect that we also need to understand is, see, information was never a problem for the last 10 years. Ever since we have seen the internet growing, social media has been there since last 15 years now, right? That means information never problem. But what challenges people is the information overload. So now they are just dumping the information without realizing how to process that information, how to structure that information, how to transform using that information. That's where the real coach and the consultant comes into picture, where they can actually help you identify on a subject area and make you understand the structured process without experimentation. If you understand that, and if you're clear about that, selling becomes a really easy as a serving for people as well.
Amazing. And one thing I admire a lot about the coaches that like you is that you do a one to many format as well, where you
Yeah.
have like hundreds of people in a room and you touch upon everybody's pain point, and you're able to get at least 10 to 15% to join you in the next steps of their journey. So tell me, what is the main difference that you've seen with a one to many audience selling and a one to one audience?
See, there are typically the models, business models perspective. If you say both one to one and the one to many have their pros and cons. If I look at the one to one, obviously the people looking for the customized solutions and everything, That works really, really well. And if you're selling the high ticket in the marketplace, obviously you'll make a lot of money as well. One of the thing which I realize is either you have to dedicate your time or you have to dedicate the money towards your team in order to probably have the one-to-one. Beyond a point, one-to-one becomes unscalable because now you are trading your time just like you were trading in your corporate world, but at a higher price. Let me put it this way. So people who start the business to get the financial freedom or so-called time freedom unfortunately fall into trap as well. Now, it doesn't mean that one to many is great. It has its own disadvantage and the advantages as well. But why the one to many works really, really smooth is because there is a peer group learning that is involved in the process. Because the one person can teach you one to one specific to your problem, which you call out. But how do you know all your problems? How many of you can anticipate the problems which you have never thought about? Now, this is where the one to many group helps because the one person asking the question is an answer for many people who are probably going to face or already facing that questions as well. So both the models, I believe that works really, really well in the given context if one is willing to put in that effort. So one to many is not that easy. You need to consistently nurture people, educate them, probably answer those questions from week over week, and then make sure that they are probably on track for long period of time and be successful. That's why you are probably coaching them. And the one to one, obviously, you should be able to give that time, the kind of support or the warmth that they are expecting from a coach or a mentor, and that is what one to one comes into picture as well. So there is nothing wrong between, I would say, the choosing either of it, but you need to have your intention clear where you want to really put your efforts on. That's what I understand.
Amazing. So, what I understand clearly is that when it's one to many, there are people there who you already know their common pain points. You know that if someone asks a question, someone else might also be wanting to ask that question, but is not coming out with it, but they're able to answer it in a peer. And you, as one person, and speaking to all of them, that is helping everyone sort of come into this collective decision. Yes, this is actually working for that other person, or that's the question that I had in my mind, and it's moving them closer and closer to taking the next steps,
Yes.
right?
Because the kind of journey that I am in my niche, the issues remain common. The service requirement could be different. It's not that we do not get the opportunity for the one to one. What why we do not take is because the solution remains common, unfortunately. I can say the same thing in the one to one, and this I can say the same thing into one to many as well. Then why would I probably take up the one to one and charge them more to get the same level of success that they would be getting in the one? That is the thought process behind all this aspect. Again, having said that, for some, the one to one works really, really well, who wants to work closely with the people as well. But I believe that if you want to make an impact at the scale, I truly believe that one to many is an option that one can go.
Amazing. So I know that, once the 10% or the 15% buy, there are a lot of people who are sitting on the fence. And usually we've seen that being able to get in touch with them, get them in on a one to one call or maybe a small group call, and be able to really give them a little bit more attention individually or as a group, that's something that also can further add on, whether it's a small ticket or a big ticket. So
Absolutely.
my question to you is, as you are, coming into the L1, L2, and maybe L3, I'd love for you to share what you do in your business and in your coaching business. Like, how do you bring people in to the first level? What type of value do they get? And then the second level, what kind of value? And if you do have a third, we'd love to hear about that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Now, if we really want to understand the business, obviously in the digital services that we do, and for that matter, any services, the funnel as a name becomes very, very important. The funnel is how you actually bring people in the entire process and how it runs till the end. So in my business also, Alvin becomes the key ingredients. That means Alvin becomes the more valuable offer with respect to the people who are looking for. And my Alvin starts with helping them get the clarity and strategy and visibility. That is the foundation that is required for all the mid-career professionals. Now, the second level, we have kept it for them in case they feel that there is a power equations or a power skills that they want to learn from. Most of the students that I get from the corporate world, they are pretty much experienced people. They have tons of experience, knowledge, skill, and they are the masters of their skills in the industry domain and function. I do not need to push them for the technical or functional aspect of it. What I need to push them for is the power skill aspect of it, which is where they lack. And that's why we have created the L2, which is more or less the power skill modules that they can actually apply directly by learning through the modules. But the third level, I realized very late back in 2020, after 3 years in the journey, I realized this: people want to go to the top of the ladder and a hierarchy. However, when you are giving the one to many and probably answering their questions, giving them the clarity, strategy, visibility, or a power skill if they want to learn on their end. But what was missing is the accountability of actions. Unfortunately, we are living in a world where we call ourselves very busy. As even though the information is available at a fingertip. Now, when the people are busy, their tendency to probably act or implement something remains very dormant. And if we have to probably break this stagnation in them, we need to bring it an environment of accountability, environment of support, along with the advanced skill strategy. And that became my L, where I realized that people want to move up the ladder. At every stage of the ladder, the requirement of the skill, strategy, your peer group learning, the communication, the language they use are different. And that's what I am probably differentiating the product as well. So the level three will be always in depth when I am there is with the continuous mentoring, as well as there is an accountability system which has been created and developed by us. And L1 becomes a more on the clarity strategy aspect of it, where people actually with the experience go through it and understand where they're making a mistake and they try correcting those mistakes to achieve the success. That's how it all goes.
Wow, fantastic. So, for those of you who are wondering what is L1, L2, it is level one, level two, just like Rakesh said, it's a funnel where you get as many people who are interested in what you do, educate them about the basics or some very valuable strategies that they can implement straight off the bat and start to get results. And if they're looking to learn more and get more accountability, they move to the next level where they get probably a more done with you process, more accountability. And then finally, if they want to, really lock in and really take it to the next level with your close expertise, that's where the L3 comes into the picture, where obviously the price bracket also increases as it goes along.
Yes. It is more from the perspective of their willingness to take action. Honestly speaking, what I have learned is, and we all need to understand, to respect our time. There is a value to our time, right? If you're spending 10 hours, 15 hours in a day, I'm sure you want to probably maximize because time cannot be bought. What can be bought is the value. How you can probably get the more value out of the time that you have. So one part is obviously being productive, but the second part is the focusing on the what is needed for their career. Now, when the ticket price goes up, the seriousness also goes up.
Yes.
Level of actions also goes to the next level. People always see from the other side of it saying that, okay, the price is very high. There is nothing called high and low in the prices. It is always about what is the value of exchange which we are talking. So when the level 3 comes at a premium, because it is only for the people who feel that they are premium, not for the people who just want to have one transaction and do away with it. So that's where the differentiation comes.
Fantastic. So the more premium, the more people pay, the more they are serious about their investment.
Yes, that's what people do. If you have actually put in lakhs of rupees in the stock market, you would be watching the stock every day. But if you have put some 5,000 rupees, at least bother if you have lost also.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So it is also about the more you put in, the more you get back as well, and the value that you bring to the bring to the table is obviously going to be a much more dedication, much more accountability, and also more result driven as well. Am I right?
100%. Because see what you are doing it now, giving them the feedback loop. Okay.
Hmm.
Because there is an inspiration of the achievers, there is a learning of those experiences around them, there is an environment of taking actions, and then there is an accountability what happens if what they're doing if somebody is there to watch their back. If all of these are given, I'm sure people will be much more serious about taking the action and take themselves to the next level.
Amazing. To tell me something, Rakesh, like can someone just directly jump from L0, L3 or do they need to go through the process? Like, because I keep meeting coaches, different type of coaches, they say they have to do the basics before they can come here, even if they're already advanced. What's your take on that?
My take would be, again, depends on the what kind of coaching is being happening. For example, let's say you want to lose the weight, okay, and I'm in the health coaching. So I would just say, okay, start with the small walking steps. Maybe start with changing a little bit in your diet plan. Maybe start with little bit one or two pushes. First is the basic, where you need to probably get tuned to your body, understand your body, how it reacts to the various diets and their exercises as well. And then you probably come to the advanced level where you understand, okay, if I have to probably have that 6 pack 8 pack, what kind of diet would be required, what kind of workout could be required, what kind of probably gym equipment that I need to probably work upon, and so on and so forth. Now this is a journey. Every personal transformation for every coach is a journey. It is just an evolution, how deep you want to go into that evolution. Whether you are just coming for a transaction, let's say I get my job, or maybe I get my LinkedIn profile done or CV done, and so on and so forth. If you're coming for a transactions, your journey will not be great. Why? Because then you're just still looking for a shortcut to success, which is not available in the market, right? That's how it works.
So you recommend having to do the basics and then move to the next level and next level?
Would probably say, again, it depends on the niche to niche. In my niche, typically for the mid-career coaching, what I have observed, it is not that they lack the experience and the what is going on in the market. What they lack is the environment in which they can actually grow. They are looking for somebody as an inspiration or a role model who can probably show them the mirror and say that, hey, if I can reach to this place, I'm sure you can reach to that place as well. Given the different level of skill strategies, somebody coming into my L1, for example, right, they have jumped into the L3 directly for a very simple, if I have to give the two options to a people, I'm giving you everything, now you do it yourself, versus, okay, I'm there behind your back every time you come in the week and say that, okay, I have problem in this. Now, if things are left to the people, I'm sure they will just measure the impact or looking for the convenience to finish something. And during the COVID period, we found that people had a lot of leisure and the conviction to probably grow in their career as well. So there was a time bandwidth as well as there is a willingness. Now, if both combine, then they will take action. If both do not combine, then they will be always push. And that pushing is required at a different level.
Right. So that the level of accountability, level of time, depending on what they want, what their outcome is, that's what they should ideally be able to get into, based on their budgets as well. So speaking about budgets, and people don't really come in knowing how much these kind of things cost, because some people they pay on an hourly basis. I've seen there's this site called TopMate, and mentors out there charge 5,000, 10,000 per hour, and some people are like, that's all I want to pay, and they feel I just want 1 hour of the time. But what we do, or what you do in the coaching business, is a little different, right? So I want to ask you, like, when it comes to especially people who are not knowing what kind of budgets they actually need in order to get the results that they can or they're expecting, how do you help change their mindset?
One of the things which I face a lot in the mid career coaching is their intelligence, because they are too intelligent to probably understand that I need coaching. So the first job as a coach or a mentor for me, or for that matter anybody, is to make them realize, educate them. That is a one aspect of it. The second aspect that I always look up to it is the mindset shift comes with the realization of your current status. One is a pain point or a surface level pain. I want to change my job. I want to get promoted. I want to probably see my manager respect me, and so on and so forth. That's a surface level aspect of it. But who they are underneath, that is not known to them. Now, the mindset shift that we work upon when they actually come in our community is make them understand why you are a riser, what it really means for you, and how you can rise from within so that you can rise outside. If you're not rising within and you are okay with any transaction at the surface level, then you're not the right person to even go to the top of the ladder that you're expecting yourself in. Now, this mindset shift requires obviously continuous nurturing of the community, and that's why we are into the one to many as well, because the mid-career professionals are not somebody who will be probably not get stuck again. In fact, at now every stage of this career path, from the let's say 32 years of age, they're going to get stuck again and again. And that's where the journey becomes more important. Milestone, yes, milestones are there, but if you are in the journey, milestones will keep coming. If you are in the transactions, there wouldn't be any milestones. It is a one time kind of a job.
Amazing. That completely sums it up in a great way. It's not about the only the destination, but it's about the journey, and milestones will come along the way with the community and with the guidance, because this is not just a one-time problem that you're going to deal with. It's going to be something that's going to keep coming again and again. And having a mentor to access, having a community who's also probably going through similar challenges to share, that's something that's going to be a more long term return rather than thinking about it as just one time transactional.
Present. That's how it
Amazing.
works.
Great. Thank you so much for bringing that clarity, Rakesh. I'm sure a lot of our aspiring coaches out there must have been having that same question, and you've just nailed it in a great way. Thank you so much for that. So, Rakesh, speaking of aspiring coaches, right, there is a journey which people think that if you get into coaching, immediately you're going to start making a lot of money. That's one. And once you're in it, then you can go on vacations whenever you want. You can buy that car, buy that house, or you can just be free and financially free. I'm very sure that's true, but I'm sure it's not as rosy as it sounds on the outside. So my question to you here is, what would be the advice to aspiring coaches who want to get into this, and what would be some of the pitfalls to watch out for along the way? And maybe you could share a story of some breakdown that happened, and how were you able to break through it even after going to mentorship, even after being successful. What are some of the things that people need to watch out for?
Thank you very much. The financial freedom is, I would say, the abused word in the social media now. Even though I wanted to use the more polished language, but I see it that way. Everybody is sold the financial freedom as a dream. We don't sell anything on the financial freedom for a very simple reason, because when somebody is talking about the freedom, there could be many freedom. One is an emotional freedom, the second is a time freedom, third is a relationship freedom, fourth is a financial freedom. Now, you can always talk about financial freedom as loosely as you want to. If you're an aspiring coach who wants to set up a business based on the dreams of financial freedom, then you are already in the wrong profession. Coaching by default becomes the serving as an instrument, not the business as an instrument. Yes, you will make a lot of money, but only when you are able to make an impact in the marketplace towards your mentees, coaches who are coming to you. Now, if somebody who is an aspiring coaches who are just coming for the money's sake, yes, they'll make a lot of money to start with, because it's a shiny object syndrome, which actually runs in the blood for almost 3 to 6 months to maybe a year. Post 1 year, their impact will talk in the market. And unless and until you have figured out how to make this impact larger and larger in your business, you'll always be struggling in your business. Then there will be burnt out, there will be stress. You can bring in a lot of people inside. Now, there will be a cost pressure as well. That means there's a profitability pressure there. Correct. At the end of the day, you don't run the business for the sake of running business. That means you don't jump into the business to probably make a loss. You jump into the business because every business runs on the profit as your holy cow. Without this, there is no existence of the business. And unlike other startups where they get funded for the tax savvy business or a SaaS based platform and so on and so forth, coaching is not a profession or a business where people are going to dump with millions of dollars for your skill. Now, that's where you need to understand what is the impact that you want to make. If your impact is aligned with what you're teaching, money will be definitely a byproduct of it. And if you are an aspiring coach, because there is a plethora of coaches coming up in the marketplace, first is always a question: do I deserve to coach people if I have not added value in myself? Because every other corporate leader can assume that I can be a coach, I can be a leadership coach. Every other, I would say, the failed entrepreneur can also assume that they can probably start coaching because they've already failed in the process. And every other Tom, Dick, and Harry would probably believe that, okay, if somebody is helping me to create my entire coaching business in 30 days using the chat GPT, wow, this is freedom, right? Now, this is where you need to understand, are you building your foundation on the substance, or are you building your hollow foundation? If it is hollow, your sustenance of the business will not be more than 5 years, regardless of how much you do.
So that being able to have a very good substantial substance and knowing what your mission is.
Because see, today if I look into the market, there are many coaches who call themselves as the mid-career coaches as well. I love them. I want to probably be with them, respect them. But let's realize this, somebody who has always got an experience of 5, 10, 15 years, who have never been through the mid career challenges, qualifying them as a mid career coach will be difficult, because then it's a Google and Chat GPT gyan that you're giving to your mentees. Yes, it works, no doubt about it. But how long is a question.
Right. So it's also about having that experience, having that like that aha moment, or maybe having that breakdown, like you mentioned about being laid off, that kind of maybe gave that start. But along the way,
You
it's
need
not,
to.
yeah, you need to be able to keep it sustaining, right? So what's the key to sustaining?
The key to sustaining is first and foremost moving from a profit to the purpose. That's a mindset shift that is required. Not that you will not earn the profit, you will not sell, you will not build the revenue, and so on and so forth. But what I have realized is, beyond a point, let's say, assuming that a 20 lakh rupees corporate employee probably starting the coaching business in the first year or so, he earns a 1 crore rupees. Now, for them, it is a wow. Now their ambition actually multifolds, and now they say, now I want to make a 10 crore. Why? Because I could make 1 crore. That's why 10 crore. Now they'll probably go all over the places, and they probably lose out on the very reason why they started the coaching as a business.
Mm,
That is a decay. Now, that decay can be stopped when you are in the environment of the people, right environment of the people. Now, the sustenance of the business, I call it as a one sentence or a one line: always be in the game, regardless of whether you're winning or losing. Once you are in the game, there is always a next round which is available to you. But if you quit just because you are not able to play this game, there is no game itself.
right. So you have to just be in the game, go through the motions, and like in terms of any sort of like pitfalls. Like I know a lot of people went through a little bit of a roadblock because of say Facebook ads. That was one area where people were like, "Oh my God, I'm spending so much on ads. I need to stop my ads," or "I'm spending so much on tools and I'm not getting the kind of returns." There are a lot of people who burn out both financially and mentally. So how do they get over that? What's the secret?
See, the pitfalls come. Reason is your starting point is wrong. Because why you start the coaching business in the first place? Either you have probably done in the corporate, let's say you've done the ICF certification, for example. Now, ICF doesn't teach you the one-to-many coaching. Obviously, there are mentors who are teaching you the entire digital marketing based coaching, AI based coaching, and so on and so forth. All said and done, the intention with which you started the business plays a very, very vital role to avoid the pitfalls. Now, one of the common pitfall is you start at the high. When you fall down, then you do not have the resilience to bounce back. Because in no business, there is always a upward movement, always a sine curve. That is, it will go up, obviously it will go down, it will go up and down again and again and again and again during the cycle. And the resilience comes when your intent and the purpose are aligned with your service. If your intent and purpose are not aligned with your services, regardless of what you do, whatever shiny object techniques that you can actually apply to your business, it will be always short lived. It will never be giving you the sustenance part of it. In my own business, I have seen the lows also, I have seen the highs also. While you are paying for the ads in the Google and so on and so forth. But why do people start with the Google and this immediately? Why not they can probably establish themselves first as a authority in the marketplace, maybe create so much of value in the marketplace that people recognize you before you go and do the ad. Now that part is out of comfort zone, of course, right? It People want to make that quick money. Okay, give me this and I'll be probably selling 10 people, I'll be getting some 50, 60,000 rupees, and I'm done with it. If you have to sell your time and probably want a quick bucks, so many avenues are there. Just keep buying the lottery, one day you'll be rich anyway.
That's right. So you got to stay the long game. Every business has its ups and downs. So if you're getting into this, you have to be ready to both struggle financially, if that's the case, and also be able to be resourceful to get out of it and sustain.
Most of the people are struggling more than the finances, they struggle emotionally. That's what I understand. It's not that there is a lack of strategy or a process which is not available in the market anymore. We are living in the information overload era today, right? That means there is no lack of information. Let's say somebody is running a very successful business today in coaching industry. How difficult it is to find out how he runs? Not really, right? You can figure out any coach in the market today. Just figure out their profile, check their sites, check their L1, L2, or whatever they're selling, just get into their call, understand that, and you're done with it. That's the strategy. But is it something which is making you successful? The answer is no. You can always copy everything. You cannot copy the person. That's the problem. That means
Hmm.
that intent, vision, purpose, the kind of exposure that they have gone through based on which they are coaching can never be repeated, never be copied, regardless of how much effort you can put. Rest all are, you can always find it outside. That's not a big deal.
So that brings me to a very important question, is being able to differentiate yourself and find your own voice and be able to attract your tribe, right? Like you said earlier, there are a lot of mid professional coaches. There are also top professional coaches, there are career coaches. The market is getting more and more, you could say, crowded. So what is it that you teach, or what is it that you offer that you feel is the differentiator apart from your amazing personality?
So one thing which I always see in my feedback from my community is whatever I am teaching in the courses or whatever I probably cover in my weekly connects with the people. My differentiated lies in the relatability of the people. I understand them from the very nerve that they are built from. So if somebody is probably asking me a question, more than the questions, I understand them that why they are coming up with these questions. Why do they have the clarity issues? Why do they have the action issues? Now that understanding can only come when you can relate to the person and you have that empathy to probably listen to people. You may have to probably go extra to probably answer that because see, no coach is omniscient. That means they are not knowing everything. Assuming that you will get a coach who is knowing everything, then you can always bank on the chat GPT rather than a coach. What coach can bring out is how to get the best out of you, regardless of what you know. My USP lies in probably structuring the many complex corporate behavior into the very simple to use mental models that we actually give to people that can change their entire way of working and the behaving in the corporate world. How they operate in terms of the LinkedIn, by creating their brand, how they probably build their own profiles in the CV and LinkedIn, how they probably connect with the people, how do they actually differentiate it by value in the marketplace. All this becomes more relatable to them. Second part, which is my differentiation, is my backstory. Because if somebody is coming from the mid-career stream, I'm sure they resonate and realize everything that I'm sharing with them because I come from the similar background. I was one of them. And I still feel that that relatability is one of the biggest USP that anybody can have in the business.
Amazing. So simplification based on your what was complicated, how to simplify it. You've done it in a very structured way, and of course, relatability is a very big factor because people want to feel understood. And if you have gone through a similar kind of situation, they know that you've gotten out of it. So definitely, I'm sure Rakesh can help me get out of that as well. Amazing. Great. So, Rakesh, before we wrap up this episode, usually I have this rapid fire round at the end, and it's just 4 to 5 questions. It's basically some things which you want to share with your audience, whatever's on the top of your mind. I'm just going to ask you quick questions, and then we can just tell me in a jiffy, just hardly a second time think. Ready?
Absolutely. Let's shoot.
Okay. Okay. Here's the rapid fire question number one. Top three favorite books.
My top three favorite, I started with 10x by Grant Cardone. That still remains my favorite. Okay. Another one which I loved it for the content and the insights that has, it's a 100 million offer by Alex Hormozai. The third one, which I have been reading right now because it actually opened my mind differently, which is X is Better Than 2X by Dan Sullivan. That three books, I would say, that had a lot of impact when I started off my journey, 10X, obviously. And then I think during the journey for the last 2 years, 100 million offers by Alex, following him has really helped me as well. And the third, 10X is Better Than 2X, because I'm at a stage of my journey where I needed to scale. Sustenance part is over now. It
Right.
is growth phase we have already gone through. Now is the time where we are looking up to the scale aspect of it. How do you probably make this accessible to all? How can we probably help people rise to the top level in the corporate world in every household where the corporate employees are? Now that is becoming bigger and bigger for us rather than probably I would say, just working with few guys in a month and probably be satisfied it. Honestly, income level is no longer driving factor for us. What is driving factor for us now is the result that we are able to bring in and the people vouching for it. See, you can always bring the result, but people should vouch for your connect, for your relationship, for your trust, for your help, for your strategies, and so on and so forth. So if you can bring in that and make them belong to a certain community environment, I believe everybody can transform as well. So that's how it
Amazing, amazing. Those are three very powerful books, and do check it out if you're listening. I'm sure it's available on Amazon. The next question is your favorite quote.
Favorite quote. Okay. If you don't take charge of your own career, then somebody will play with it. That is my favorite, and it comes from my own story because I was not taking charge of my own career for 18 long years. I realized that that was a mistake, which I don't want another person to repeat as well. So take charge and play it really, really full of your potential.
If you're not taking charge, someone else will. I love it. I love it. Favorite personality.
Favorite personality, I didn't have a role model, but if I have to say a name, I would always admire Modi ji, our Prime Minister, for his work ethic, the kind of vision that he carries for India. Obviously, there will be plus and minuses in everyone, but I believe that person at that level of age, if they can think so big about the country, I think we are doing a too small a contribution towards it.
That's great. And 10 years from now, where do you see yourself?
10 years from now, I think the Rises Club will become a moment for the all the corporate professionals who wants to probably understand and rise in their own journey as well. And we are not focused around just getting a job or a promotion. So what I see, how can we become the ecosystem which corporate look up to us, and they probably hire the quality leaders who actually have the empathy and the human impact as the center of it rather than just the profitability. Because yes, you want to do the business with the profitability, but if you're serving and probably treating your people better, they will definitely get you more profits. That's what I understand.
Superb, superb. So build a bigger tribe, build a bigger movement, and
Yeah.
get more people in and carry on that legacy.
Yes, because currently I think we are still beginning. I would say we are just warming up with 7,000 leaders in the community. Believe the more than the scope, more than the need of the mid-career coaching is going to increase given the current scenario with the AI replacing a lot of people. So that is where we are heading towards.
Amazing. Yeah. I think now AI is something everyone must be really worried about, especially in their mid career. How are they going to really get past that? I'm sure that's the biggest question that everyone should be coming to coaches like you to answer and stay relevant and stay ahead of the curve. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely.
So, the last and final question: how can people find you? And when they find you, what is the best way to kind of start engaging with you? And what is your message to everyone out there?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Om. Now, if you want to connect with me, just type in rakesh.cc/connect. You'll find all my social media handles. I'm mostly active on all the social media platform except X. LinkedIn is my main connection point. In case you want to find out, just find out Rakesh Rana or Rakesh Rana 10X as the username. You'll be able to find me there. Now, if you want to really connect with me, honestly speaking, all the mid career professionals are more than welcome to be in my free masterclass that we conduct every week and understand where you stand. Regardless of whether you be a part of the community, that's not a problem. But understanding where do you stand in the marketplace is very much crucial for every mid career professional today. So if they find me in the LinkedIn, just help yourself by understanding where you stand today in the market.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So that's the way I'll be putting these notes in the show notes as well in the description. You know where to find Rakesh, and when you do find him, he's your man to help you with your any sort of mid-career understanding and then figuring out how to take it to the next level.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So Rakesh, any final words that you would like to share as wisdom or anything that you feel is relevant to today's time that people should be keeping in mind and working towards?
I would say that I would probably address all the people who is watching this program, not only just the mid-career professionals. I would always say this thing that if you have taken the birth on this planet, between these two certificates of birth and the death, you have a journey, and that journey make it so memorable that even if you leave from this world, people remember you. So build your legacy while you're here. That's the final message for every one of you.
Amazing. I love it. Give me goosebumps all over. Thank you, Rakesh, so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I'm sure our listeners and viewers have really learned a lot from this conversation. I do look forward to connecting with you again in the future. But until then, we're signing off here. This is the Killer Sales Engine podcast with Aum Janakiram, where you're going to be getting everything related to sales, marketing, systems, and speaking to some amazing coaches, business leaders who are there in the market. Thank you so much for listening. This is Aum Janikram and Rakesh Rana signing off.
Thank you very much, Om, and for having me in this podcast. And I hope that this podcast actually reaches to many, many people who must listen to it. And as a Killer Sales Engine podcast that you're doing as a work, I know that you have created that your own ecosystem in the process as well. I would want every business aspirant as well as the current business owners in either side of it. You can always leverage Om for his ability to sell. Of course, selling is one of the thing that actually keep your business alive. So, in case you are meeting across, please reach out to him, and I'm sure he will be bringing more insight to your business than anybody else can do. Thank you very much for having me in this podcast, and God bless everyone.
Thank you so much for those kind words. Have a great day, everyone, and we will see you in the next episode.